Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Hightop Game Day. We are live from Duval. It's Florida versus Georgia weekend, boys and girls. It's got to be the best weekend of the year. And if you're asking Sheldon, you're at a tailgate, are you swasty? Are you feeling it? I went and ordered the Pouncy Punch. Ladies and gentlemen, there is literally zero punch, and it's all Pouncy in this thing right now here, and I'm absolutely vibing. We have a jam-packed show. It's going to be an absolute blast. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're brand spanking new. Let's go ahead and say hey to everybody that is here thus far. We've got Allie Peak representing the Florida Gators. Mr. Ty, a.k.a. Blaze Hayes, representing Tennessee. And then we got Stephen Chadoff here to my right. He's going to represent Florida State versus Wake Forest. We'll bring him in. And hey, say hey, Holly, real quick.
Big boys, how we doing? Welcome to the best weekend of the year.
Let's go, boys and girls. Allie, how we feeling?
I'm feeling good. I like the energy. This is a crazy one. Anything can happen in this rivalry, and that's why we love it, right? And it would be an upset, but crazier things have happened.
I love it. Ty, a.k.a. Blaze Hayes. How we feeling, big guy?
Hey, listen, I can represent Tennessee today just because I got to smoke that cigar last weekend as the Crimson Tide got it back in blood. So it's all good to represent them this weekend, and we're going to have a good time.
I love it. You got to chew on the cigar a little bit. Big W there. I love that Joe Milton took another L. That was exciting. So we're going to talk about him possibly taking another L this weekend. We'll be back with you all in just a moment. Boys and girls, again, smash the like button. Happy to have all of you here. The vibe is starting to amp up a little bit. It is 9 a.m., but that doesn't mean that the party hasn't been started all week long. It's been absolutely nuts here. Sorely over here hanging out. Been here since Wednesday. I don't think he slept. He woke up drinking, went to sleep drinking. So going to be a great win. Trip Warwick, where are you at? We are in Duval, Jacksonville, Florida at a tailgate. If you want to come by, see us, where's the address, Steve?
It would be 278 Talleyrand Avenue, right here behind Duval Street. And the home of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Everbank Stadium, right here in the foreground.
Oh, look at that. We have the Pouncy brothers that will be on hopefully later on. We have a tailgate show happening in about an hour and a half. Stephen Harris, the legend, will also be here. Major Wright, Joe Hayden, I believe, has been rumored to be here as well. So, star-studded event. Going to be a great time. That's going to be a later show for tailgate. But right now, it's Hightop Game Day. Let's get into it, Mr. Blaze Hayes and the Tennessee Vols, boys and girls. Blaze Hayes, like you said, massive W here. Obviously, your Roll Tide, they're on a bye this week, and I hit you up. I go, look, love to have you on because you missed last week. You're busy throwing up some fence. You had a little bit of, it wasn't a good. We missed Blaze. You know what I mean? I felt like look. The rumor is that Blaze went to a Gambler Anonymous meeting. Can you confirm nor deny?
Blaze went to a Gambling Anonymous meeting, which led him down a dark path of more gambling because he met a bunch of enablers, which led him to be in the hands of the Lithuanian government. And I had to go over there and negotiate for Blaze to come back. But he's back. He had to put up some fence last week. He wasn't here. It felt dirty. It felt wrong, but we're back to rectify that.
It did. Well, it's happy to have you here. We're going to talk about Tennessee this week, and they're up against Kentucky. Obviously, you played them last week in Bama. You're the freshest touch of saw what they did and what Joe Milton was able to do in that first half, and they completely got shut down. They are headed to Kentucky, who has looked dominant at times, but obviously got railroaded against Georgia. Do you think Kentucky has a big bounce-back week ever since losing? And they lost to Mizzou. Let's not get that twisted. Do they have a big bounce-back week? We got two teams with a possible rebound week for them. Who do you like the most here, even though you are representing technically Tennessee?
So listen, this is going to be an interesting game because both teams are going to want to get this back. Now, ultimately, I am going to pick Tennessee, but the margins to me are really thin, and I think you could reasonably argue one way or the other. One of the things I look at, though, is how Kentucky gets so much of their success from running the football, and that's running to the interior. And when you look at Tennessee's rush defense, that's actually what they excel at, is stopping the interior run, or at least to this point in the season, that's what they've been very good at. Now, Kentucky has Leary, who transferred in, and I think a lot of us were excited to see what he would be able to do. He just hasn't been the quarterback that we thought he would be. Now, the same argument can easily be applied to Joe Milton, and you'd be correct in doing so. He hasn't had the year we thought either. But ultimately, when you look at this Tennessee defense, if you're trying to run it into their teeth, they've been decent at that. When we look at Alabama, when Alabama got creative at about 9 minutes into the second quarter, they started doing things to the outside, different little motions, trying to get Jalen Milroe and some read options, attacking the edges. That's when they were able to start slinging some things. So ultimately, I think Tennessee gets this victory. I think it's going to be very close, but here's something interesting to remember. Tennessee has won 18 of the last 20 in Kentucky. So I like their chances to continue it this one.
That's huge. I didn't realize that stat. That's why we get Blaze Hayes on here. He's an encyclopedia of knowledge over there with any team that you throw at him. Look, I think Kentucky, what Alabama has that Kentucky doesn't, is a quarterback that can light you up and turn things on. And Tennessee, although hasn't looked exceptional, what Joe Milton did in the 2 touchdowns they did score were big breakout plays, and I would expect Milton to have those plays. He has every game, especially in Florida. He had that as well too, but we were able to counter that with a productive offense. We know what Ray Davis can do. It seems that Ray Davis only has done it against Florida, though, with running the football. Like you said, Tennessee shut down Florida's run fairly well, and I think if you can contain Ray Davis, he's gonna get his. Devin Leary is going to have to be the difference maker, and he hasn't been the difference maker this entire season. Now, Joe Milton has either, but Joe Milton's default is at least 1 to 2 80-yard touchdown passes. So they're favored by 4. Look, I think we learned that history of the last 18 to 20, what's happened in the last 20 years. We talked about this last week. It's starting to lose that pizzazz, especially with that old history that's carried over the last few years. Doesn't seem to be the same anymore. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the NIL. Teams seem more even than what they have been, in recent past. Except Bama, they seem to have found their stride against Tennessee. And this is a great song. I just got goosebumps, bro. This is bringing me back to the Running Man.
How could you want any more?
Ooh, I'm sorry. It's a different vibe here when we're tailgating, boys and girls, and the Pouncy Punch is flowing. So that's I gotta call it there. Oh, Blaze Hayes, baby. So you like Tennessee? It is a small margin, -4. You think they cover the -4?
That's tough. I think they have an ability to, just because what you said. If I'm looking at just the odds of this, I like Milton, and mainly, moreover than Milton, man, it's Heupel's veer and shoot to create 1 or 2 opportunities that break the game in Tennessee's favor. So yeah, I will take Tennessee to cover this.
I like it. Look, Kentucky, I feel Stoops lost the team when he came out with that segment bitching and complaining about not having enough NIL, not paying the players enough like Georgia. I feel like he kind of lost the pizzazz at that point. I could be wrong, but that to me was a turning point for Kentucky. I think they haven't won a game since those comments. So, I would, for me personally, to hell with Tennessee, to hell with Georgia, I would like Kentucky to roll here. That's me personally as a Gator fan. We have Allie later on. We'll get her thoughts on it, what she thinks about this game. But you like Tennessee and what Joe Milton's able to do. And I know it's the bye week for Alabama, but I got to ask you a little bit. I want to know your thoughts. Were you sweating early on, or did you feel pretty confident that Joe Milton and Saban was going to do what Saban and the boys do?
A combination of both, man, because I think it's interesting when we look at this. Tennessee scored 20 points, but one of those touchdowns came off of what I believe to be a busted assignment. You can't ever know for sure, right? Because you don't know the intricacies of the call, but I believe it was a busted assignment. Typically, when you have a slot receiver release, your edge, your defensive end takes everything that goes inside, your safeties take outside.
Make sure they don't buck me in.
It went the exact opposite. So one of the Tennessee big touchdowns came when Squirrel White was guarded by Chris Braswell, which that's just a mismatch. And they adjusted. Tennessee and Josh Heupel with that veer and shoot, it's not an offense that you really want to test too much, but you need to get them off their spot on first down, right? That is massive if you're playing a veer and shoot offense, because all of their success, the majority of it, revolves around that first down success. So I had a feeling Alabama could be able to last. But that offense, they have got to find consistency. They can be fine, but they have got to find 4 quarters of consistency.
Agree. I think we haven't seen four quarters of Tennessee football in here in quite some time. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. I think it's starting to get a little busy here. We may lose a little signal from time to time, so bear with us. Ty, a.k.a. Blaze, I appreciate you. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have you back on to represent, obviously, Blaze for our Hightop Table Talk. Thank you, as always, my friend. We'll see you here shortly. We're having all kinds of techniques.
That's fine. I'm still here just vibing out. It's all right.
All right. I don't know what's happening here. We're losing it. We got a little jumpy here with the technical difficulties. But Tennessee versus Kentucky should be a good one here today in Kentucky, Lexington. Obviously, we're here in Florida, Georgia currently. That's why we're having a little bit of back and forth. We're having a little, connectivity issues because it is busy. So bear with us. We're having a great time. Be sure to smash the like button if you are here. But let's get to the game of the week, the game of the year. Florida versus Georgia. We're going to have Allie Peak talk all things Florida, Georgia here, boys and girls. Let's get it. Let's go. Allie Peak, how we feeling? How about him?
I mean, it is my favorite week of the year. Kind of sad I'm not there in Jacksonville with you. It's a little hard with Halloween and children and whatnot. You're a couple years away from experiencing that. But
I am.
This is a big one. And we have an opportunity to play spoiler, which is kind of my favorite position to be in.
It is a great spot to be in. And look, when you have nothing to lose, there's something that's scary about that with a football team that has nothing to lose. Now, we had Stephen Harris on earlier this week, and he goes, look, it's an upset for us too. He feels that we are in a place that we didn't expect to be in. A lot of us didn't expect us to be here, that our season is still in full tact here. So, look, you can upset our season just as much as we're going to upset your season. Yeah. Obviously, them being number one, it's a little bit of a bigger upset. But tell me, what do you think is going to be the biggest takeaways and the biggest key points for Florida to make this upset happen and to avoid an upset for them as well?
Okay, well, first of all, if Florida's going to have a chance at the upset, they're going to have to play a near perfect game. They are going to, they're going to have to not make stupid mistakes. They're going to have to not have penalties. They're going to have to not have any special teams miscues. And they're going to need some help from Georgia. They're going to need Georgia to make some of those mistakes. Florida's not done a good job forcing turnovers this year. They've not done a good job winning the turnover battle. If that could change today, that could change the outcome of this game. If I am Florida, I want to get out early. I don't think this team is built to come from behind. We did see them do well against South Carolina coming from behind last week, but in previous games, if they've gotten down, it hasn't gone well. So I want to see Florida get out early, and I want to see him pressure Carson Beck. When you look at the stats of all of these teams, I think one of the things that really stood out to me was, although we are last in the SEC in quarterback pressures, Georgia's second to last. So they're not going to come after Graham Mertz, or at least they haven't previous to this game, a lot. And so if Mertz has time, that would be a really good thing. If they could be creative with the offense, call a game similar to South Carolina as opposed to calling a game like they did against Kentucky, Florida's got a shot. And again, our defense has to create turnovers. They have to bring pressure. They're going to need to do the same thing Georgia's defense is going to try and do, which is upset the quarterback apple cart, right? Like Carson Beck is going to be on his heels a little bit. I know that Georgia has elite offensive talent, but Brock Bowers has been the safety net, right? If Carson Beck needs a play, that's who he goes to. There is going to be an adjustment period when he figures out who is the guy that's getting the first down, who is the guy that's getting the touchdown, who is the guy that's bailing us out on third down, because it has been Bowers all season long. So while they have the talent to fill that gap in seamlessly, they're going to have to get their quarterback, who is a starter for the first time this year, comfortable looking for somebody else. And I do think there's probably going to be an adjustment period with that. That probably looks different today than it does 3 or 4 weeks down the road. So Florida kind of maybe potentially got a little lucky with this being the first big game that he's going to not play in, because there is some adjustment for Beck that's going to have to happen.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, too, like you said, getting off to a hot start. The Tennessee game, we went down 7-0, but it felt like we got off to a hard start regardless, right? We went down, we drove down the field, missed a field goal. They went out, had a big play, but it didn't feel like they were in a groove, right? Joe Milton made a big play, which we were just talking about with Tennessee. Then we went about, punched him in the mouth, scored, got a big stop, and then we got on a rhythm. I think the same thing has to happen. If we get that ball first, we have to put points on the board, whether it's a field goal, whether it's a touchdown. We've got to get points on the board and then make a big stop, like you said, to put pressure on Carson Beck, to make him feel like, okay, I've got to step up here. He had a little bit of adversity against Auburn, but I think we can all agree that what Florida's been able to do has been much more productive than what Auburn has been able to do. Defensively, they've been great. And speaking to the line and getting pressure, we talked with Stephen Harris, and I keep referring back to this. And again, I think we're trying to emulate that defense a little bit where the D linemen, they're reading gaps. They're not just going north and south and blowing through, which causes pressure, right? And then again, they even asked Kirby about that. Like, hey, what do you say to recruits? Because the stat line doesn't support a defensive lineman because they're not getting a lot of pressures. They're not getting a lot of sacks. But they're getting a lot of experience of how to play in the NFL, which is reading gaps and expanding their game. And then he hit him with
the run D is so good.
Say that again. The run D.
Also, why their run D is so good. Why Georgia's run D is so good is because of that.
They're patient, exactly. And look, and to be fair, they haven't really faced a quarterback that's forced them to bring pressure. Right. The SEC quarterback play is definitely down this year. So look. Beat us in the air. That's fine. Let's see what you can do. Nobody's been able to do that. You've got Peyton Thorne. You've got Devin Leary. They haven't faced a quarterback, and I believe Graham Mertz could be that person that beats them in the air and makes them adjust mid-game.
They just have to call the plays to make that possible, right? Like Florida has to call a more creative game than we saw the first part of the season. I think South Carolina, we saw loosen up the reins a little bit, right? That trend has to continue. That game gave this team a lot of confidence. I think, and listen, it's not that South Carolina's great, right? It's that Florida fought tooth and nail to the end and came out victorious. There's some confidence that comes from that. They were more creative through the air. Graham Mertz had probably his best game of his entire college career, which is great because he's going to need another one of those to win this game today. But
sure.
A lot of this game is going to come down to how our plays are called and how we adjust to what Georgia is doing.
Absolutely. Quick though. We got Tim Bucks from Devil Dog. Says my favorite two YouTubers, Beauty and the Beast. I think he's referring to me as Beauty, Allie, but that's you can decide that later on. Whatever you guys think. What is your prediction, Allie, for Florida versus Georgia? How you feeling?
I on my show I gave two predictions. I gave if Florida wins and if Florida loses. If Florida wins, I think it's something like 27-24, right? I think that we stuck with them the entire time. We limited mistakes and we, capitalized on something, right? Maybe it's an interception. Maybe it's a forced fumble. Maybe, I don't know, but something. If Georgia wins, I think it's more of like 38-24. And what I think happens is that Florida probably sticks with Georgia for 2.5 to 3 quarters. And just at the end, they kind of outman us because they do have, top recruiting classes the last several years under their belt. The talent is deeper. But truly what I want to see is Florida in this game all the way. I want to see the Gators not give up. I want it to play close. I think, the way that the media paints it and even Georgia paints it, it's like Florida hasn't beaten Georgia in a bajillion years. And they forget the fact that we beat them in 2020. Like it has not been that long. There's been way longer streaks in the past by both teams. This is still a rivalry. And truly, Florida was in it for 2.5 quarters last year, right?
Sure.
This I don't believe the gap is quite as big as it's being painted to be. And I think that's what we need to show on the field. If you can show that you can hang with Georgia, that's huge for recruits. Florida gets to have recruits at this game today, which is kind of a new thing with this rivalry. Florida, the home team, gets to have recruits, and that's Florida. If they can show that with Billy Napier's system, but without the guys necessarily that he would handpick to run it, they can still compete with Georgia. That's huge.
Absolutely. That was something we talked about, too, again, having these recruits there and how a win will be massive for recruiting. A loss won't be as detrimental as people like to try to paint as losses, but a win for a recruit here and to see how big this game is absolutely massive. And being here, again, like it's been a while since I've been here because it gets a little hectic at times, makes me just hope they never get rid of this game because it's something special. It doesn't need to be at the Swamp. It doesn't need to be at Athens. It needs to be here. It's what makes it special. It's just, I don't know. You get goosebumps when you're driving over the bridge.
You do. It is the coolest thing to see. Sitting in that stadium, looking at the split halfway down the middle is one of the coolest things at college football. The temperature change even that happens, like you're sweating your ass off at 3:30 at kickoff, and then you're looking for your jacket at 7 because the wind is blowing and it's getting dark. Like, there's just so many aspects to this game. The tailgating, who shows up on Tuesday with their RVs to set up RV City? I mean, Florida, Georgia does. Not places. And truly, I think most people involved in this rivalry know that. Kirby Smart is the only one that continues to bitch about it being an advantage. They get 50% of the tickets, and now every other year they get recruits, which is exactly what would happen if it's a home and home anyway. And they recruit a ton of kids right out of the state of Florida. So sometimes this is an easier game for those kids to get to than to get to Athens. So I think that kind of removes a lot of his complaints, but he is just kind of a whiner. Like, that's who Kirby Smart is.
So you kind of broke out, but I believe you just said Kirby's a bitch. Is that?
Yes, that's exactly.
Okay.
Kirby Smart's
All
a
right.
bitch.
I just wanted to make sure. Steve has something to say. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
So I did want to break that down. Kirby Smart making as much noise as he has as of late about this game has financially benefited both schools greatly. Since he started making such a ruckus about getting this game out of Jacksonville, now the city of Jacksonville, the Gator Bowl Association, they now pay for both teams' travel and accommodations, which is about $1 million to get them here to put them up. They now get half of ticket revenue. Each school now takes that away, regardless of whether
they
they're
want to
home.
keep it here.
They want to keep it here. The Gator Bowl Association essentially capitulated to Kirby because he was making all this noise about moving. Each team now per year walks away with $4 million. $4 million per team they walk away with.
Yeah, listen, like I said, being a Karen works, complaining works, I guess. But I think
there it is.
Probably other ways they could have gone about doing that and getting what it is that they wanted. But listen, I'm just glad it's Georgia's coach complaining and not ours, right? Like,
Allie Peak already won that around the table. You guys just quit. Well, Allie, thank you again. Don't go anywhere. Obviously, we're going to have you back on. You got to defend your title. You didn't get to come back on after you won.
I know.
Well, we had a bye, right? I think
we did. We had a bye.
All right, so it was for good reason. But now you're back, ready to rock and roll. We shouldn't lose you anymore for the rest of the year as long as you're good to go. But thank you. We'll have you back on in just a moment. Okay?
Sounds good.
All righty, boys and girls. Go ahead and get us some of this pouncy punch. You know it's bad when it starts to get warm in your chest, Steve. You know what I mean? That's when it's – go ahead, Steve. You want to go ahead and zoom that out for us really quick? Absolutely. We're going to bring Steve in here. We look, a little makeshift. Jay Crane had a family emergency, so he was unable to come on the show today. Steve, obviously being here, is going to be able to step in here. Let's go ahead and get the graphic up while Steve sits down with the stuff. Steve and Chad, buddy, how you doing, big guy?
Oh, my gosh, my goodness. How could you be any better than how we are right now? We're out here. It's beautiful. There's not a cloud in the sky. The crowd is rolling in. There's flags. There's chants. There's people in orange and blue, red and black. You've even got a Florida State fan like me roaming around here having a great time. This is an amazing day, and it's going to get even better as we get closer to kickoff.
Steve, as a Florida State fan, genuinely enjoys this event.
I do. I love coming down here.
It could be the alcohol that you enjoy, but either way, he still enjoys it. He enjoys it at the party. It's a good time. But look, we're here to talk about FSU versus Wake Forest. Big W against Duke. I got to give you your flowers a little bit. I was talking about it earlier this week. We got some FSU fans at work. I had the number 1 team in the country after LSU. I told you that. Yep. They have not looked like a top 5 team for the rest of the year. And that's not me being a hater. It's simply thinking like, look, I thought I saw a really good football team. And they haven't played great all 4 quarters. I think Jordan Travis done a phenomenal job. But right now, I think you walk into the playoffs, from what I've seen, you get absolutely curb stomped. And that's not me being a hater, huh?
Why?
I think Michigan, Georgia. I think Alabama would have your number currently. Look, I think you go toe-to-toe. Okay. I think you go toe-to-toe. I think you have the ability to get it done. I just haven't seen it yet is all that I'm saying.
I can see that. Yeah.
That's the only reason why. But I think, look, the Duke was a big win. I think you guys pulled away. The score, I feel like it was closer than the score entails because you guys have that ability to pop off and score pretty quickly. Yep. You've got Wake Forest today. You're favored by 20. In the past, Wake Forest has been your kryptonite.
It has. Well, Sam Hartman was the master of that mesh offense. And obviously, he's athletic enough to be able to pull that ball out and still make a play with his legs. He gave us fits for the last 2 years. Sure. I couldn't be happier to see him in South Bend.
So look, I think Wake Forest has been the wakey game for you guys. It's at noon, am I correct?
It's a sleeper noon game
at Wake Forest.
It's like the Missouri game for you guys.
It's
always
one.
the sleepy noon game that you're just not ready for. It just feels like the team comes out flat, and the next thing you know, you come out at halftime, you're only maybe up by 3. You got to get your shit together in order to even pull a victory out.
Do you feel it's going to be the same Wake Forest pass, or do you feel like this is going to be the game that you guys turn a leaf over?
I would love to say that we're going to turn that leaf. Here's my main concern with Wake Forest is that they are the 3rd least penalized team in all of college football, and it just feels like it's one of those things where there's going to be like 900 penalties on FSU. Anytime we get some momentum, we get knocked back on a penalty. I just feel like it's still going to be just a dogfight. I hate the fact that it's going. I feel that way. I think it's like a 7-point game at halftime, and then we do the same thing with Duke, where we maybe rattle off a couple of back-to-back scores to make the score look different than the game. But I feel like it's going to be more competitive than I think what the final score is, unfortunately.
More competitive.
Yeah, unfortunately. They still have that wild blocking style where they just cut the legs out from underneath you.
Yeah.
Right off the snap. Oh, God, it's brutal.
And so, look, something like that, like when you got that mix, they still do the mesh O, right?
Yeah, they still run that mesh.
And so, look, Sam Hartman, the reason why that was so effective with him, because you got a quarterback that can just sling a football, which is why the reason he probably left, because he's like, look, I'm not showing my abilities enough at this offense. But with a quarterback like that, it really amplifies that offense because you truly have to respect both options.
Right.
Whether they're going to hand it off, he had the ability to run too, or he can sling it on the football field.
Yes.
And so with that slow tempo, you're not used to playing that. And that's why Wake Forest is still able to stay in these things. And again, so you're throwing the chop block, you're throwing the mesh O. It's a noon game at Wake Forest. A lot of issues that can throw off what you guys are used to doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like, historically. Oh, boy. Welcome to the cocktail party, people. That's why they call it this. Look, it's one of these games where it's a trap game. Look, the one thing I will say is that I unless something has changed significantly, Wake Forest is going to be on their 3rd string quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. They are.
Oh, wow.
They are broken beyond repair at the quarterback position unless something magical happens, like Riley Leonard last week, where they found a way to get him on the field. He wasn't healthy, clearly. So we'll see what happens with Wake. I don't know if they even really want to put somebody out there that's gonna hamper their offense more than help it. So we'll see how that goes.
20,
I think it's
20-point spread. What do you like?
Oh, I would take the under on the over/under, and I would take Wake in the points.
Plus 20. You like Wake plus 20.
Yeah.
What do you think? It's going to be like a 14?
Because Wake Forest sits on the ball. That's the other thing. Is that as a high-powered offense going up against an offense that's going to squat on these slow developing plays, they're going to eat up a ton of clock, and you're only going to a team like FSU who wants to score out and get their offense back out there and just high power. They can't do that with this team, right? So that where you're used to having 12 to 13 offensive possessions in a game. Now that gets knocked down to 9, maybe 10, 8, something in there. And now you got to really perform and you got to really get something out of every drive. And I just think that the way that Wake Forest plays is designed to slow that game down on anybody. And if they can do it against, other teams, then they're going to 100% go for that same strategy with Florida State. I just think it's just not going to be enough possessions to get the over in that game.
That is a great take there by Stephen Chad Hawley. A reasonable take. Matthew just said to hell with Georgia in the chat, and I couldn't agree more. Again, smash the like button, boys and girls. We got over 150 plus in here, which is honestly one of our highest Saturday shows. So, again, thank you all that came out. Again, Little Nas will not be on the show later on. He wasn't able to make it here. He's busy. He's caught up with other things. But we were able to get Allie Peak and Blaze Hayes and Stephen Chad Hawley. So I feel like we did a great job countering that as well. Again, we were here.
Sounds like an upgrade if you ask me.
I don't.
I mean, that's personal.
I don't disagree.
That's a personal one.
What we're going to do now, we're going to go back to just myself, but we're going to get Mr. Chris Sorley on for a couple of celebrity picks here, and then we're going to finish the show with Around the Table Talk. So, Steve, go ahead and get Sorley on over, and then we'll get ahead and rocking and rolling here, boys. A lot of big games here, boys and girls. Obviously, we've got Florida-Georgia weekend. And Mr. Chris Sorley, longtime supporter, here with us this afternoon. What's going on, big dog?
Good evening. Good afternoon.
Woo! Woo! They get 2 cops and a Ric Flair. Woo! Welcome back, baby. How you doing, man? How was your week been thus far? Partying since Wednesday.
Man, it's been wild, man. I got something in the air. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but
So just so you guys, a quick backstory for Chris Sorley, and then we'll hit you with a few celebrity picks here. Chris Sorley travels all over the damn place. He went to Kentucky, gave me a phone call. He's our high top sideline guy. He goes, I'm not feeling good about it, dude. The energy is just off. The Florida fans look whack. The Florida players look whack, and Kentucky is a bumping. And we saw what happened. Gave me the call in Columbus in South Carolina. It is in Columbus, right?
Yep.
Just don't want to sound like an idiot there. And it hits me with, hey, man, it feels different. It feels good. The energy's vibing. It's not like Kentucky. The Gator fans are wild. The players on the sideline look buck nasty. And here we are. I got a text last night going, let's get it, let's go. And then you also texted me this morning a little it was like a dick pic, basically.
yeah, basically.
Meant to go to your wife. I appreciate it. I wasn't mad about it. So thank you for the love there.
Oh, sugar cookie.
Well, hey, we say good morning, Sugar Cookie. I was like, well, hey, I mean, they just, second base, third base, here we come. Let's get you some celebrity picks in. I think the big other big game, we'll get for Georgia here. It's going to be Oregon versus Utah. Potential Pac-12 champion could be coming out of this game. You've got Oregon at Utah, but Oregon's favored by 6.5. Who do you like here with points?
Yeah. Well, Cam Rising's out for the season.
Well, that is crazy. Is he?
It is, man. The hype, right? When we were going to play them.
Yeah, that he was possibly going to play.
Yeah,
and now he's done. Okay, all right.
I think the Oregon defense, man, is going to shut
Hey,
down.
real quick, Major Wright and
I
think that might be a Pouncey brother just arrived, boys and girls.
that is
Major Wright.
There he is.
There he is, boys and girls. Hey, give him the mic. Get off the
Yeah.
phone.
Hey, so we got people waiting on you, man. Get on.
Hey, what's up, man?
How you, bro?
Good, man. Good to see you. Yeah, go ahead. What's going on, man? So, man, nice to meet you, man. All right, man. We'll get him on later on for our show, boys and girls. But look at Steve on the mic there, on the cam there. So that's how we do it. So who are you liking? Sorry, go back to what you're saying.
Oregon defense, man. I think it shuts down that 2-quarterback system they got. I think it'll be a little too much, and I think Oregon covers.
Okay, I like it. Good pick there. Florida, Georgia. It's moved from 22, 14.5. Now it's 14 is the final pick today. Who do you like?
Some people call me a Disney Gator, but I don't care. Gators by 50. No.
Get it by 1 million, baby.
Talking with Holly this morning, something that I didn't know, special teams-wise, Georgia averaging net 24 yards on punt. Florida averaging about 48. So I think there could be something there where we flip the field. Something's off today. Blue and orange way, right? Like, we're going to get something. I think it's late field goal. I think Smack comes in clutch. I think the Gators pull it off 31-28.
So, I mean, you're taking the points all day then.
Yeah.
14's a no-brainer.
For sure.
Next, we've got Tennessee at Kentucky. Tennessee's favored by 4 points. We talked about it earlier today. Who do you like here?
Well, look, both teams need to win, right? I mean, I think,
True.
Stoops, he's going to get on the mic, say everybody needs to pony up if they lose, and then Heupel, he's going to kind of deflect to his quarterback. I like Tennessee in this game. I think they've been running the ball really well. I think they've been able to kind of look at Kentucky and say, yeah, we got them. So I like Tennessee, Kentucky to cover.
I love it. Well, Sorley, I appreciate you for your celebrity picks. Pleasure. Thank you, as always, for your support. We're going to get Steven Chat back on, and we're going to bring everyone else back on for, of course, best part of the show, High Top Table Talk. Let's get it. Let's go.
Go on.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Steven Chad's going to hop on here in just a moment. I do want to bring the professor on here, boys and girls, because the professor got absolutely railroaded last week due to his hairstyle, his look, and just in general. He's looking fresh today, boys and girls. He got a fresh cut. The goggles are gone. Contacts are in. I wanted to give you your flowers, Cody. So thank you for getting a haircut, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks. Glad I had the time to run to the barbershop yesterday. So,
all right, that's enough of Cody. Come on, Steve, hop on here. Let's come sit down. You're up. Your order for business here. Let's go ahead and get the scoreboard pulled up here for everybody. Allie, right now, again, what we have is defending champion. Jake won last week, but he had some family emergencies, unable to make it. Allie's coming back to defend her title. According to the chat, and basically Allie's just coming in here rowdy. It's Blaze. You're going to have a big one to overcome here. Steve is not going to win. I don't care how great his arguments are. Steve is not going to win. So it's basically between you two. Steve is just here as a filler.
I've been called worse.
Allie, as defending champion, obviously you're going to have to take the lead here. So bring it out. Get ready to rock and roll. And let's start with this question here is a great one. Before you go, obviously, let me read the question. Let me get my phone. Let me get the timer here. Question: Who will end up who's more likely to end up in the NFL first? Lincoln Riley or Mr. Signgate Jim Harbaugh?
Man, that is a really good question. I kind of think it's going to be Lincoln Riley. I'll tell you why. Lincoln Riley wants out at USC, I think. He is the same exact situation that he had in Oklahoma, where he's got these incredibly powerful offenses. He's got these Heisman Trophy either winners or candidates, but his defense is absolute garbage. And I think that he thought if he goes over to the Pac-12, he can win because nobody plays defense over there, right? But now that they're going to the Big Ten and they're going to be playing some big, tough, stout football teams who do play defense, I think his chances at a national title are going to be next to nothing, honestly, once they make the jump to that conference. So I think he's going to be looking for a way out. I think, if he could go with Caleb Williams, he would love that opportunity as well. Kind of a quitter, right? I just think the going gets tough. Lincoln Riley hits the road. That's his MO. And with Jim Harbaugh, I can see a scenario where he goes to the NFL, but I think his image is going to need to.
Great takeaway. The fact that you complimented the question, you started off 3 points ahead. I mean, Allie is dialed in today, boys and girls, so no pressure there. Ty, then we're going to go over to Steve. What's your thoughts on your buddy?
Yeah, it's Lincoln Riley, and there's multiple reasons why. First and foremost, he doesn't necessarily recruit all that well. And understand what I mean. He'll put together a top 20 class, but it'll include 16 guys, and then he'll rely on the transfer portal. When you move from the Pac-12, from the Big 12 to the Big 10, now you're in a scenario where Ohio State and Michigan, they're going to take a top 10 class, and then they're also going to get their pickings out the transfer portal. This is a guy that doesn't necessarily recruit the best. He just talked about how, I have to recruit nationally because the California kids aren't working. If you were tuned into Oklahoma, he said the same shit in Norman, talking about why I can't recruit here and I need to go to California. Well, now he can't do it in California. Moving to the Big Ten, he doesn't have Caleb Williams. Guys, if he hasn't gotten this done with Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, and Caleb Williams, how in the world are you going to get it done in a league where they actually value defense, where they value time of possession? My final point, he's got a running back that's averaging 8 yards a pop. He won't give him the damn ball.
Wow.
Woof.
That was Blaze from the top rope there.
My goodness.
Major Wright.
Major.
Hey, let's get Major in here for a quick second. Steve, you're out.
Just abused him.
Hey, we're gonna have to take a quick little. We're gonna have to take a minute. Hold on. Let's go. Major Wright, how are we doing, man?
I'm amazing, bro. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We're live right now. We got over 150 people in here, man.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. What's happening, everybody? What's happening? How y'all doing?
They're feeling good. Look, hey, I also too, I want to give Allie Peak. She's in here. She's got a great Gator content. She's in here with us as well. Look, man, Florida, Georgia, man, talk to us a little bit about this weekend, what it has meant for you as a Gator, and just what it is for you right now.
First and foremost, thank you for having me on, bro.
No, thank you.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, no problem, bro.
Thank you.
Man, this means everything, honestly, because this goes back to how bad Georgia was so disrespectful to us in 2007.
Sure.
And this cut us deep. When they scored their first touchdown and everybody ran on the field, that really started something
it's personal.
Yeah. So after that, we made sure we had to take care of Georgia. So that cut is still it's still open. So we got to continue to keep that tradition going where we don't allow them to disrespect us. They've been up, these last 2 years. Hats off to them because they've been having some success. But this year, I think it's going to be a little different for us. I think we're going to go out. I think we have the personnel, the team. And right now, I think we riding on our high right now. So I think we're going to go out and go handle business.
I love it. Allie, don't be afraid to ask any questions, too, before she goes. What's your feeling again? You kind of talked about this team just a little bit. How are you feeling with Billy Napier? Kind of talk to Gator Nation a little bit on the team that he's building, the culture that's being built. I know you've been more involved over the last few years here with Florida Victorious. I've seen you a couple times at the events. What's your take on the entire situation, what Billy's building?
I mean, like, I know a lot of people want things fast,
Sure.
but if you want something to be successful, it takes time and it takes years. It takes, constant growth. So I think he's on the right path of giving us what we need.
Okay.
Sometimes we do have to be a little patient. I know sometimes I could be like, now, but
Sure.
in all actuality, where do we go if we do lose him? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So we have to grow with somebody. And I think right now he's in that growing stage and he's growing on everybody. He's doing the things that we need right now. He's getting the energy back around. And then next year, he bring in his recruiting class. We top 5 recruiting class this year. That is really good. In order for us to be where we want to be at, we need the talent to get in. So I think he's on the right path to get us where we're trying to go. We just have to give him a little grace and give him a little time to make it happen.
Allie?
Major, I think one of the things that your team with Urban, you played on that team with my little brother, and I don't know if you played with my husband Eric or if you guys missed each other by a year. But one of the things that Meyer did better than almost anybody, honestly, Spurrier and Meyer probably, is beat rivals. And I think that's the thing that can put a coach at Florida on the hot seat faster than your overall record is your rivals' record. So if you're talking to this young team who honestly isn't used to beating their rivals, what do you say to them to get them motivated to win those games? Those are the ones that the fans care about the very most.
What's your why? You have to always dig back into your why. Why am I playing football? Why did I go to the University of Florida? What am I trying to do? Like, you have to always ask yourself why. And that goes with each and every player on that team. Once you go back to your why, then you understand why you're doing what you're doing, and then you continue to tap into your why. And that makes you go a lot harder because this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm trying to get my family out of this position and put my family in a better position. That's my why. Or I want to, get my degree at the University of Florida. This is my why. Or I don't want to let my brother on the side of me down. That's my why. Whatever your why is, you always got to be able to tap back into that. I think for me to be able to give these guys something, I tell them to always tap back into your why you doing what you're doing.
I love that. I think that – go ahead, Allie.
I was going to say, Major, before you go, I do need you to do something for me. I sent you a Twitter message this weekend and you didn't respond, and a bunch of your teammates did. So I need you to say "to hell with Georgia" on the air with us, because I have about 30 that did it on a video. So I need you to say "to hell with Georgia."
Okay. The hell with Georgia.
She had an incredible video with a lot of Gator greats that all sent a video in saying "to hell with Georgia." It was a good time. So now we've got the clip. We can add it.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
For Major.
I didn't see that. I'm sorry. I didn't.
No, that is okay because
I'm a little busy.
Yeah, they're hustling. I don't know if you remember, we had you on the show during the Orange and Blue game. We spoke. I think we talked about.
I remember.
All right, good stuff, man. You talked
bro.
about the massive hit, which is always a pleasure. I want to talk about Swamp Kings for a little bit because that obviously came out after you and I spoke. Is there something that, like, again, incredible docu? Like, obviously the haters. I saw you responding back to it. I loved it. An incredible documentary. You were obviously involved with it. I want to talk about your involvement with it, but also, too, was there things that were left out, or do you feel the story was told just phenomenally?
Yes, it was things left out. Of course.
Sure.
Like, you had some key players left out.
Sure.
So, obviously, Percy Harvin, the Pounceys, Joe Hayden, Carlos Dunlap, those guys, a bunch of guys been left out, and they have their story as well, but I feel like how it was told great. It was amazing. Like, I liked everything about it. I even like going in, telling those stories and putting me back in those mindset and those mind frame of that time. Those are like times and precious times in my life that, like, you're not able to go back. So to be able to relive those moments for me was just really cool. It was really dope. And then to see all my teammates get on there and, tell their stories, It was great, man. I really enjoyed it. Like I really loved everything about it. I loved how it came out. I know, of course, we have people saying, "Oh, they didn't tell this. Oh, they didn't say this. Oh, they didn't do this here." Like we did a great job with showing people what it took,
Yeah.
to be successful and what we did, to be successful because a lot of people didn't understand what we was going through. So to give you guys that insight and that look on what we was going through was what people needed to understand. Like, hey, listen, if these teams are out here right now, what is it going to take
Sure.
to be successful? What is it going to take to be great? How are we going to be remembered? They can go back and go watch that.
Sure.
They can go watch how we was in those mat drills and we held everybody accountable. I always knew that I was going to get my best out of all of my players because during the week,
Yeah, you were in it.
yeah,
And you were at like your lowest point in a sense of vulnerability just because you were beating each other up, literally, figuratively, all those things. And I think the biggest thing too, talking about just a moment in identity. And I think we talked about on the show this past week about what we need to see today is the Brandon Spikes hit on Noshawn, which was talked about it, and then your hit at Oklahoma. How important those things were. And again, I had you on the show, goosebumps when you told me about it. Obviously, one of my all-time greats. You and my person, my two favorite guys that I grew up watching. Like,
thank you, bro.
Crazy that I'm sitting here talking to you right now. It's unreal for me. I gotta like keep it in check. But getting to hear you tell like the mindset of like, look, I knew I could pick it off, but I also knew in that moment that a hit would make a bigger impact. And that's something that this team is, I felt like over the past few weeks, is starting to find a little bit. We had Stephen Harris on talking about, you got to go out there and punch somebody in the mouth. Yeah. And that's what we're hoping to see, I think, as a fan base today. Like, we need that moment to say, hey, it's personal. We're in this together. Let's go get it done.
Yeah. And that, bro, like, you got to make people feel you. Like, if people don't feel you, then it's just like, it's another play. It's another opportunity. I get to take advantage of you. But if you make them feel you, there's no way you're going to want to take advantage of me, bro, because you already know, like, if I get a chance, I am going to annihilate you. Like, that was what I wanted to do. I grew up wanting to, like, really annihilate you. I didn't care nothing about who you was or where you was from or what color you were or any of that. You get on that field, I got to have your head no matter what. It could be my mama. My mama could put on pads and she run a slant or she run anything cross my face. I'm gonna put her ass out.
Mama Wright, we sorry, but it's personal.
My mama know, like she know. It's like when I get on that field, it's something totally different. I turn into a whole totally different person, and that's what you have to tap into. That's what I tapped into. I made sure you felt me.
Sure. That's incredible. Now, have you had a chance to talk to this team at all and get a vibe from anybody?
I haven't talked to the team this year. No,
okay.
I haven't. I haven't. I've been so busy, man.
Sure, yeah.
I've been so busy.
You got your book.
Yeah, man. I got my school curriculum going on right now, and it's really big. So it's
awesome.
Just like
talk about that a little bit. I want to also talk about where they can find you as well.
Yeah.
Too, man.
So I have a school curriculum called Good Deed Tuesday, where every Tuesday these kids get to intentionally go to school and be kind of the students on a Tuesday, right? I've created activities and lessons about empathy, gratitude, citizenship, teaching these kids about what it really means and doing activities and lessons involving these words that really show them what these words really mean, so they can start using them in their day-to-day life.
Sure.
Right? So my school curriculum is here to change the trajectory of how our kids treat each other. Right now, school isn't the best for our kids. Gun violence is at its all-time high. Bullying is at its all-time high. Social media bullying is at its all-time high. And what do we have to solve this? Good Deed Tuesday. So I've created this to be able to like give back to our kids, give them something positive to look up. So, and then too, with my character, Mr. GDT, he goes out in the community every Tuesday and he activates his powers by doing good deeds. So for every good deed he does, something good happens in his life. So right now he's on a mission to build a community, to get people to understand how important it is to be kind, to care, and to share with one another. So I've created this to help give these kids something to look up to, positive, and lead them in the right direction.
That's awesome. And how can people be a part of that and follow along with that?
Y'all can go to gooddeedtuesday.com. Y'all can go on the website. You guys can purchase books. You guys can donate. You guys, I have like events that I do. You guys can get on and help. Come if you guys want to help volunteer. We have that. Yeah, you guys, if you guys want to help and be a part of this, we want to be able to get it into every district. So if you guys do know any upper like superintendents that you guys want to reach out and would love to see this in your county or your district, let's connect and let's make this be the change that we need for our kids.
That's amazing. Major, you're the man, dude.
Thank you, bro.
I really appreciate you. Wait, what championship ring is that?
Oh, this national championship ring. I'll be rocking it, sometimes just to remind these dogs that we, we here. You know what I'm saying? We here.
I love it. Hey, Steve, you mind taking a photo with us?
Let's do it,
We
bro.
didn't get a photo last time.
Let's do it.
And I can't miss up on it. You take a photo of us?
Look at it right now.
Incredible, man. I appreciate you.
Of course,
Thank you
bro.
for coming back and hopping on. It's a pleasure always getting to talk with you, man, and just talk ball. We're going to go live a little later on. If you want to hop back on and chat, I know you're going to be busy today, but it's always a pleasure, man. Thank you so
Likewise,
much.
bro. And continue to do what you do, bro. Continue to send out positive message, bro. Continue to send out love, bro. That's what life is about.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
you, bro.
Thank you,
Have
man.
a great
Go
day.
Gators, boss.
All right, go Gators.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll get Steve back on here. Look, I apologize for the audible, Blaze and Allie, but it's a childhood hero of mine, and I feel like there was an opportunity, and I had to.
I was going to tell you, I can vouch for Major's books too. We bought books for our kids. He was selling them at a former player tailgate like a year or two ago, and we bought them for our kids and we bought them for our school library because they are they're really well done, really well written, really well put together, great message. So if people are out there and they're wondering whether or not they should buy it, I can promise you we've read it cover to cover many times in this house.
That's awesome. I last time I spoke with him, I bought his book, but those are two different books, right? He has a child book as well, is what you're saying.
Yep, it's a child's book. It's like, you could read it to your younger kids. My girls are in 3rd grade. I think we bought it when they were I want to say they were in 1st grade when we bought it. And so at that point, we kind of had to read it to them a little bit, but the messages were still totally, age appropriate for them. But now at this point, they can read it to themselves. They can read it to their younger sisters, but it is a good book.
Sheldon, that means you can read it.
Maybe.
I've had too many pouncy punches
Too many
to really
pouncies?
respond to
Yeah.
that. I'll have to get it for a little Beckett Tiger. Again, thank you, Blaze, for your patience, my man. I appreciate that. Steve,
You're gonna have to get me connected.
I just
with
live
him because my wife is a teacher and she's a team lead in our district and they do a lot of work in terms
we'll
of
link
like
up afterwards.
anti-bullying stuff. Yeah.
let's get together afterwards, and I'll get with him on it. Steve, you work here, so you're allowed to wait. All right, Steve, let me get back to the timer here. Let's go. You're up next.
Okay.
Yeah, time to prepare there.
He did, right? Trust me, he was not prepared.
I was not prepared.
Just because of that, Allie, you're right. He's gonna start with -5 points. All right, go ahead, Steve. You're up, buddy.
Okay, look, so Jim Harbaugh is absolutely going to be the first coach to make the jump, and I'll tell you why. One, because he already has NFL experience, meaning that NFL GMs, NFL ownership know that he can communicate effectively with players. He's also been a Super Bowl coach. He's been to that level. So now you have a known commodity, which these coaches are getting paid a lot of damn money, more so than even in college. So to risk taking somebody like, our old boy out there in California or any college coach that hasn't dipped their toe in the water on the NFL side, that transition doesn't always work very well. Look at what happened with Nick Saban. Great college coach, did not work very well in the NFL at all. He just didn't have the ability to communicate with those guys effectively. The other piece of this is, let's talk about where Jim Harbaugh is right now. He started this season suspended due to COVID issues. He violated COVID restrictions in some of his practices. So he started this year against a 3-year suspension. He also
-5. You're.
Look. What's my total?
8.
All right.
That's too shabby.
Yeah,
That's
13-point swing.
Take that, guys.
107 people in here. This has to be a record breaking for the show. I really appreciate everybody that has showed up this morning. Again, we're Hightop Game Day. we're taking over. We have Major Wright on here. We have Allie Peak. Thank you to Allie Peak. She's got a family of like 7, I think, and 14, 10-year-olds over there at least every other weekend. So thank you to her for hopping on here. Then Blaze is taking time out of his farm work to hop on the show. So again, thank you to those two for being on here. And Steve, let's go. Let's go to the next question.
I'm just glad my headset's on, buddy.
Blaze, you're gonna go first. The question is, and our producer didn't do as scrolling, is can Louisville save their ACC hopes with the win over Duke today? Blaze, over to you.
Ooh. So listen, I think they have an opportunity to be able to salvage their season. Look, this is a good Louisville team. They dropped a game, but if we look at this, they have an ability to get it back against Duke. And I have some serious questions about the health of Duke quarterback. After that, they have Virginia Tech, they have Virginia, they have Miami, and then they finish it out with Kentucky. And when I look at Miami, I have a lot of question marks there. Being that you only have one loss, downing Duke then paves the way for them to keep their head above water, keep chugging forward, get your lunch pail, and be able to try and down Miami to vie for an ACC championship position. So, yeah, listen, Louisville's been a good team this year. I think that Braum going over there has been great for the Cardinals, and I'm excited to see what their future holds. But if they down Duke, they absolutely could vie for a spot for the ACC championship.
Good stuff with a moment to spare. Steve, over to you, big guy.
Oh, look, I mean, this is essentially Louisville's only shot. They're going up against a very, very difficult defense. I know that everybody looks at the Duke helmet and they judge Duke by the brand. This is not your Duke of old. I mean, let's be honest. If Florida's basketball team walked on the court 20 years ago, everybody would say, well, it's just Florida. You're going to roll them. Well, like that changed, right? Florida became very, very good at basketball. Things transitioned in the sports world. And Duke now with Mike Elko has an extremely good defense. Now, is their defense going to be able to overcome the fact that you have likely a gimpy quarterback, even if he does come on the field? I don't know. Now, the other piece of this is, look, if they are able to beat Duke, Louisville's able to beat Duke, this essentially clears that path because, yes, they still have the game against Miami, but Miami still has a game against a team called Florida State at Florida State in Tallahassee, 8 o'clock game. I mean, if Miami takes that L, then, it looks like they're going to be there. So this is a big game for Louisville against Duke, and I think they put everything they can into it.
Sober Steve is dialed in, Steve, boys and girls. This guy is on a roll right here. Quick again, shout out to Steve. We're 30 days now, 30 plus, 30
Oh,
40?
yeah, something like that. I stopped counting. It's horrible. Don't ever do it.
I love it. Good. Hey,
hate it.
Point for Steve there for rocking and rolling. Allie, over to you.
I mean, can Louisville save their hopes of making the ACC championship game? I mean, possibly, but they probably won't. They're probably not going to beat Duke. If Riley Leonard is going to play, Duke is probably going to run up the score. But I think we're missing the point here. It doesn't matter. Do you actually think Louisville is going to beat Florida State if they get to Charlotte? Because the answer is absolutely no. So I don't think today's game matters at all in terms of their ACC title hopes. The only thing it could possibly help is their chance of being in the championship game. So if we're giving out participation trophies, then yeah, I guess they're still in it for a participation trophy. But I don't even think that matters. I think Duke wins, Louisville's out. But let's say Louisville wins. Who cares? So you're going to show up to be a tackling dummy for Florida State as they, crush them in the ACC championship game. And I don't know. Maybe they score more than Miami did there, but they're not winning that game, and they're not beating Florida State in the championship game. So it doesn't matter.
So we had major technical difficulties, Allie. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but we got kicked off the air. Hold on.
I had no idea. Perfect. Awesome. So I didn't say anything good about Florida State.
I can't believe that we just lost all that. So I'm going to give you a couple extra points here because, I mean, it's not fair to you. I have no clue what you said. I paused your time, and then we came back live, and you were still rolling. So it's Steve's fault. It's his phone. So for that, I'm going to take away 5 points from Steve because
I hate it here.
His phone is the reason why we were dropped. So, Steve, just when you make a good run, you're right back to zero again.
Well, to summarize, it does not really matter. It would be a participation trophy because then they'll go to Charlotte and get their ass kicked by Florida State. So who cares?
Allie is pulling out all the stops today. She called Kirby a bitch. You're going to get their ass kicked. Look.
You could take 3 more points away from me just for her being honest.
Point adjustment needs to be Allie 40. Allie 40 points. Thank you.
Producer's coming in. He didn't miss a beat. Sorry. Blaze is over here going, what the hell just happened? Thank you, Cody, for the coming in there. All right, Holly, you're going to be first on this last question here.
Okay.
I mean, you've done horrible. You're way behind.
It's a high top benefits plan. Don't ever sign up for it. It's
more likely to upset UF or Kansas over OU.
UF for sure.
Oh, hell yes.
UF for sure. UF for sure. Look, I'm going to throw this out there. And Allie, I looked at this statistic and I immediately thought of you. I expect both of these teams to come out a little slow, trying to feel each other out, trying to get each quarterback into a groove. I looked at a statistic that is one of those hidden things that a lot of teams and a lot of pundits and talking heads don't bring up. Florida is averaging 43.2 yards net per punt. Net, that means after return yardage, so on and so forth. 43.2 per punt. Georgia is averaging just a hair over 29. That is almost a 15-yard swing per punt. If these teams are coming in, feeling each other out, and you play that back and forth game where you're putting the ball in the air off the punter's foot, look, that's a huge swing. That's the difference between Georgia potentially starting at their 20 or at their 5 or starting at the 30 or the 15. That's a game-changing type of mentality when you're coming out on offense.
So I minus your points because Sorley came on there and said that exact thing.
Because you stole my damn idea, you bastard.
He came on. I was like, I feel like I just heard this. I know I'm a little buzzed, but damn, I
son of a.
Sorry, Steve. You shouldn't have gave your.
I can't even have a nice, honest dialogue with somebody without them coming in here and just taking the legs out.
Bro, he came out here. He's like, I did some digging, and here's what I discovered. Sorry, Steve. I don't know what to say.
That camera's not rolling full.
You never had a chance.
His ass.
Allie, talk to me.
Well, listen, I'm all for giving him a couple points for saying this is going to come down to the punting. So you can go ahead and add a couple on for that because I love it. But listen, it's UF, right? Georgia likes teams to let teams nickel and dime them, right? That is, they nickel and dime, they bend, don't break, and that at the end, they stop you. But UF's offense is all nickel and diming. This is what they want to do. There is no big play there. There is no, gashing you for 40 yards. So this is perfect. Mertz doesn't take risks. He nickels and dimes you down the field. And 2 weeks ago, that was pretty successful. UF has a great field goal kicker. So they don't have to worry about, okay, we got in the red zone, we got no points. They'll take the 3. The only thing that concerns me is defense here. Florida's defense is going to have to play the best game of the season, but it's still Florida.
Great takes there. Blaze, if you would have worn the mullet, you might have been a little bit closer here, but you got to have a strong close here, buddy. Who is it?
Yeah, look, the answer is Florida because Kansas hasn't beaten OU since 1997, and I don't think that's inclined to happen now, especially with Jason Bean being in there. Jason Bean, very experienced quarterback, actually started his career at the University of North Texas before transferring to Kansas. He can run the football, he can pass the football, very talented, but this Brent Venable defense is really good. The reason why it's Florida, Allie, I do disagree a little bit with some of that because if we're talking about how to test a Georgia defense, ultimately the sample size has been given to us. You have got to test them downfield. Yeah. That's the way that you have been able to beat Kirby Smart, Nick Saban defenses, and the sample size is fairly significant. But luckily for Florida, you have Graham Mertz, who isn't making bad decisions and is playing great football. You also have wide receivers who are grading way higher than I think the average college football fan thinks in Wilson and Pearsall. When you put together that with a rushing attack that is dangerous, you can keep Georgia's defense off balance. And that, I think, is a major path to victory, is keeping them off balance.
Blaze, hell of an argument there. Blaze always pulls out at the woodworks here with incredible names, but Allie pulled it away in that FSU segment when we went offline. I don't know what happened. Apparently, it's gonna go down in the history books as the greatest segment of all time. Thankfully, for the professor is here to keep this whole thing afloat because I think his connection is the only reason we stay alive. Almost 200 people in here, boys and girls. Yeah, almost 200 people in here. Be sure to smash the like button. Allie, of course, our defending champion, doubles back and shuts it down. Steve, you suck. We expected you to lose. But Blaze, I mean, look, you kind of are starting behind the 8 ball there. But Allie, give us your closing thoughts, and then we'll go ahead and go to all of you guys, and you can tell us where we can find you.
Listen, guys, it is Florida-Georgia week. This is the best rivalry in college football, I think. It is unique. It is fun. It is everything that college football is supposed to be. That being said, Florida's going to have to play a perfect game. I think they can. As always, to hell with Georgia.
To hell with Georgia. Fuck Georgia. This is the new Hightop game. This is the new game day. So this is where you need to be, boys and girls. Again, shout out to the man, the professor. He got a haircut just for the show. He got blasted last week and has been going through it. Ty, tell him where they can find you, big guy.
Yeah, you can find me at Around the Table Sports. You can also find me on Bleacher Report. I do post-game stuff for Alabama football, specifically on there. And then every Friday on Bleacher Report, you can find me on the National College Football page. We have a national show doing a pick'em. Right now, I'm sitting at 60-14. So doing pretty well in my predictions, going really well. Also, you can find me at Around the Table Sports here on YouTube. Less than 100 away from 20,000 subscribers. So y'all go over there and help me hit that 20,000 subscriber mark, and we'll get it going.
Incredible. Ty, always a pleasure to have you on, man. He does a phenomenal job. The relationship with Ty has grown over the last year, and it's been an awesome one. I appreciate you, buddy, always coming on here and hopping on. Allie, tell them where they can find you.
All right. On YouTube, you can find me at A Peek Inside Gator Football. And on Twitter, you can find me at Allie_Peek.
Awesome. And Allie does a phenomenal job as well. Her content is absolutely incredible. Way better than what we do around here. So be sure to go follow her, subscribe. She's an absolute blast.
Content.
Cody, where can they find you, buddy?
You already know.
Let's go,
Sunday,
baby.
7:35.
Let's go. Steven, where can they find you, big guy?
Sitting next to you.
All right.
I'm right here.
Hightop Sports Live. Almost every damn day it feels like anymore. I don't feel like I get any sleep. Guys, thank you to all of you that hopped on today. This was an incredible show. Thank you for your patience for Major Wright coming on here. It's an absolute blast. It's Florida, Georgia. I know you guys got to get your Saturdays back. You guys are good to go. I appreciate you. Love you. Thank you. Go follow all of them. Congrats again to Allie. Allie wins. Shocker there. I'd say not. But Steve, Chad, we're not going anywhere. We have a show later on at 11:45 right here. We're going to get the Pouncey brothers on. They walked by earlier. They're good to go. Sorley was locking that in. We'll see if we can get Major Wright. We'll see if we can get Joe Hayden. I mean, we're blessed, Steve.
Where else would you rather be? Right? Let's be honest.
I don't know. This is absolutely incredible. Thank you to all 187 people that are in here right now that chose to watch us today. Means an absolute lot. We're trying to grow this, so continue to like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. We'll be live again at 11:45. We'll have a halftime show. We'll have a call-in show. So just turn the damn bell on. We're going to have a jam-packed show today, or day in general. Should be an absolute blast. Win or lose, we're going to have fun. Love you guys. Be good, and we'll see you next time.